大家好, I'm Nathan Rich, aka 火锅大王. At the center of one aspect of Sino-American relations is the case of Meng Wanzhou. On house arrest in Canada for years now, she's been accused of misleading HSBC executives about Huawei having control over another company, which owned another company, which operated in Iran. And because she misled the HSBC executives, they conveniently saved a bunch of money by using cheaper channels to move money around, which included through the United States. And by going through the US for Iran-related money transfers, they violated US sanctions on Iran. Yes, those are the same sanctions the US used to block Iran's request for COVID-19 assistance. Violating the US-specific sanctions against Iran has nothing to do with Canada, and so when the US ordered Canada to arrest Ms. Meng, it was for extradition based on fraud. She defrauded HSBC into making these sanctions violations. When institutions from American allied countries like Germany or France intentionally violate these sanctions directly, they are fined. But when a Chinese company is accused of causing a British institution to violate the sanctions, well, the Chinese person must be arrested, illegally searched, have her passwords illegally shared, and then she must be touted around as a political captive while we all yell, shame, 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 because she's guilty, and that's easy to see. Because when we examine the evidence, it shows us that clearly. The trick in Canada is to maintain the appearance of a fair hearing by carefully examining the evidence. Just not all the evidence. That's Canada's special sauce. Don't allow evidence to be presented which disproves the allegations. Because it's not a trial, it's a request to extradite. And definitely don't allow evidence which disproves the request for extradition, because it's not actually a request for extradition, it's a political trial of public opinion. The Canadian court has finally released a short document, which for some reason took nearly 2 weeks to write, spelling out the latest reason Ms. Meng is not allowed to present evidence against the extradition. And those reasons are pure gold. Let's examine them. Meng Wanzhou is facing a weird legal situation. The US told Canada she misled HSBC executives into continuing business with HSBC and violating sanctions. Since she's not in the US, she can't be on trial now. She's only able to fight the actual request for extradition. And the only way she's allowed to do that, basically, is to prove the request itself is manifestly unreliable. And the request says she misled HSBC, the executives weren't aware of the details involved with Huawei's financial situations, and basically the HSBC was an innocent mom-and-pop shop that was tricked by Big Bad Meng. So, via court battles, she acquired direct evidence disproving everything in the extradition request. So what's a court to do? Oh, right, just don't allow that evidence. And that's exactly what the Canada court did here, denied the evidence. They released their reasons for doing so, and man, are they a great study. If you're a law student out there, I sincerely hope you study this well. This is how you continue to prosecute when you are sitting in front of evidence proving not only that the defendant is innocent of the charges, but also that the extradition request is bogus. The evidence Ms. Meng submitted shows very clearly that HSBC staff chatted about the situation in emails. Vice President and senior vice presidents discussed it, so they knew. Then the prosecution changed the request for extradition. You see, those aren't executive positions, those are middle management. An actual executive would be like this secret L person. That is the real person who needed to know the situation. That's a risk assessment expert. So yes, HSBC knew, but just not the right people like L. Except that L also knew, according to the evidence, but that doesn't matter because L possibly wasn't one of the risk assessment experts who made the final decision about Huawei. Except that L literally co-authored the risk assessment report within HSBC about Huawei. But that doesn't matter because, I mean, who knows how much the risk assessment committee actually uses those reports anyway? See how this is going? This is apparently how law works in Canada. Try to imagine this by way of a more simple parallel. You call your internet company and tell them you want to cancel your service. You're moving. Then when you arrive at your destination, you're arrested for defrauding the internet company. Years later, while still on house arrest, they tell you that you only told junior members of the company about your cancellation. You didn't tell the decision makers. They didn't know anything about your canceled service, so they kept providing it to your empty apartment. Then you acquire direct evidence proving that a higher-up account cancellation specialist knew about your case. But that account cancellation specialist wasn't part of a committee to cancel accounts. Sure, they literally wrote the report of which accounts needed to be canceled and gave it to the committee, but I mean, who knows if they even read those things? And all of this is your fault. Somehow. You are really in deep trouble for not telling them you're canceling your account. It's your fault the internet company didn't notice what you directly told them because Canada. That's roughly what this case is like. You are at fault because the company, which had numerous staff at all levels in the know about the situation, communicated to each other, but suddenly are saying they didn't, even though you can prove they did. And your court hearing? They literally don't even allow you to present the evidence. You're being deported straight to the United States. And if that isn't a masterclass on how to persecute demonstrably innocent people, I don't know what is. So because this latest turn of events, I think it's safe to say there's a high chance Canada will knowingly extradite an innocent person for political reasons to the United States, which has utterly dominated the Canadian legal system. And if that happens, I suspect we may get further masterclasses in how to block clear evidence, use wordplay and semantics to try to gain politically, and escalation of international tensions. After all, as we learned from Canada, it doesn't matter if the request for extradition is littered with lies. It doesn't matter if the evidence clearly proves more than ever the defendant is innocent. It doesn't matter if every single entity accused of the same thing in the past has only been fined. It doesn't matter if the entire arrest and search process was illegal. If you're a minority and you're in Canada or the United States, you have reduced rights. You are at some risk level of being used as a political pawn at your own expense. And that's something all of my fellow countrymen, including our northern colony of Canada, can surely get behind. Let's strip these non-whites of the rights we pretend to grant them. Let's violate our own laws to go after the Chinese, to further Trump's trade war agenda. Who's with me? Until next time, I'm Nathan Rich. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.